Today, in this video, I'm gonna show you the best possible and most efficient route to unlock Viessa. I'm also gonna show you how to obtain every material and how to maximize the use of your time. And lastly, I'm also gonna explain to you a couple of shortcuts that you can take to unlock her the fastest. What's up, Descendant, Chaotic Bob here, and this is my guide to unlock Viessa. If you want to see more videos for the first Descendant, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you want to support me, I'm gonna leave my Nexon creator code in the video description. Viessa is the 6th Descendant that I unlocked, and I decided to put her a guide before Valby because there are void fragments that require chill damage, and at the moment, Viessa is the only Descendant with cold skills. She also has out of the box great crowd control, which in the endgame can be very useful. To unlock Viessa, we're gonna need several things, and we're gonna divide this guide in 4 steps. First, we're gonna talk about the general recommendations to get her faster. Second, we're gonna talk about the blue materials and how to acquire them. Third, we're gonna talk about the rare materials, and these are very easily farmable and will take you at the most an hour to get all of them. And lastly, we're gonna talk about how to acquire the blueprints the fastest, easiest and with the highest drop rate. So let's get started. First, let's talk about the base requirements to unlock Viessa. You can get Viessa after you fully unlocked Hagios, because we need access to fight the Swamp Walker, but I highly recommend that you finish the main campaign and have your gear at least on level 90. This will also help us farm faster. And you're also gonna need Bunny unlocked for a specific step, and the Fire Descendant is highly recommended for a similar step. I will get to them later in the video. For the blue materials, we need to open resource and munition boxes. To find these, we're gonna use our radar, which we can use by clicking tab on PC or the right stick on console. This is gonna ping boxes that are within the radar's range, and will give us the exact location of these boxes. I recommend that as you're normally exploring maps, you make this a habit, and when the time comes when you need the materials, you will already have them in hand. You do not need to open that many boxes. Per box we get between 50 and 150 for one material. So if you do put the time to farm these exclusively, it should take you 10 minutes to get them all. Now let's talk about where to get the materials. In Kingston, we can find Repton. The Sterile Land, we can find the Superfluid. In the Vespers, we can find the Semi-Permanent Plasma and the Hardener. In the Echo Swamp, we can find the Compound Coating. And lastly, in the Agna Desert, we can find the Monomolecular Extractor. Now let's talk about the purple materials, and there are 3 that we need. The Fusion Plasma, the Common Carbon Activator, and the Synthesized Artificial Biometal. For the Fusion Plasma, there are a couple of outposts that will give us this material. One is on Rockfall and the other one is on the Classified Area and the Sterile Lands. But as we know, outposts have a 4-minute cooldown until we can restart them. So we're gonna do a little trick. Huge shout out to Krybo. In my previous video he gave us a tip that will save us hours throughout this grind. And we're gonna use this same method several times on different steps. So pay attention because it is very important. First, set your world to private. This will nullify the timer on the outposts, which means that every time that you travel to a location, the outpost will be available. And this is huge because there would be many times in public servers where I would be farming these outposts and they would be on a timer. Do an outpost, and when you finish it, open your map and travel to the other outpost that gives us the same material. This will help us by having to load less times. Do these 2 outposts back and forth until you have all the materials that you need. For the Common Carbon Activator, we're gonna do the Shelter Infiltration in normal mode. But make sure that you do this in private infiltration. You do not want to join an instant to only kill the enemy for the material and leaving the other guys doing this activity alone. In the first big room of the infiltration, we'll find the yellow bar enemy after we activate the panel. Kill this guy to get the material and go back to Albion to restart the activity. Do this as many times needed until you have all the materials needed. And for the Synthesized Artificial Biometal, we're gonna do the 2 outposts shown on your screen, which can be found on the Agna Desert. We're gonna use the same method that we used for the first purple material. Set your world on private, travel to the one of the outposts, and after you finish it, fast travel to the other location to do the other outpost. Now, I'm gonna show you how to get the blueprints the fastest. This can be a little overwhelming because there are several ways to get them, and they all have different difficulties and drop rates. But I did the research for you, and I'm gonna show you the best places with the highest drop chances and that are also easy to farm. First are Viessa's enhanced cells. To get these, we're gonna do the third option, which is to do a Void Fusion Reactor in the White Knight Gulch. To get the blueprint, we need 13 monomer shards, 2 organic void shards, and the amorphous pattern 34. This amorphous pattern gives us a 38% chance of getting the Viessa's enhanced cells blueprint. To get the shards, we're gonna have to do 2 different void fragments. Unfortunately, there isn't a single void fragment that will give us both materials and the quantities that we're looking for. So we're gonna have to do 2 different void fragments. And for both, we're gonna use Bunny. So switch to Bunny and we're gonna do the void fragment in Rockfall. To activate the fragment, we're gonna use one of Bunny's skills to damage the fragment. And per completion, it will give us 4 monomer shards and 1 polymer shard. And to reactivate the fragment, just wait for it to respawn and restart the activity. And in 4 runs, you should have all the monomer shards for 1 activation. Now for the organic void shards, we're gonna do the void fragment in the Vermilion Waste, which is on the Agna Desert. With a single completion of this void fragment, you will get 4 organic shards, which is enough for 2 runs of the Void Fusion Reactor. And to get the Amorphous Pattern 34, we're gonna go to Shipment in the White Knight Gulch. And we're gonna put our game in private mode to do the trick to repeat the outpost as many times needed. After we have the shards and the Amorphous Pattern 34, we're gonna go do the Fusion Reactor that is on the Observatory, here on the White Knight Gulch. Kill the boss to spawn the sphere and use the pattern for a roll to get the enhanced cells. Next up, we have the Stabilizer pattern. And to get it, we're gonna do another reactor. For this one, we need 12 polymer shards and 3 organic shards, and the Amorphous Pattern 14, which has a 38% chance of giving us a Stabilizer. To get the shards, switch to your Fire Descendant and do this Void Fragment found here on the Supply Depot in the Vespers. Do the activity 3 times to get all the shards needed for 1 reactor. To get the Amorphous Pattern 14, we're gonna do the outpost found here on the Lost Supply Depot. Do the outpost as many times needed, leaving and reloading the zone, until you get the Amorphous Pattern 14. After you got all the materials needed, head to this fusion reactor found here on the same Lost Supply Depot area. Kill the boss and interact with the sphere. And use your Pattern 14 for a 38% chance to get the Stabilizer. The next blueprint that we need is a Spiral Catalyst. And for this one, we need the Amorphous Pattern 46, which has a 38% chance of giving us a Spiral Catalyst. To get this blueprint, we're gonna need to do the Neutralize Void Experiment Special Operation, found on Hagios. And this Amorphous Pattern has a 30% drop chance on round 12, and 44% on round 28. Do not go to round 38, it only has a 26% chance and it is not worth it. I recommend doing this activity until you reach either round 12 or 28. And when you're done, leave the activity and hop back in until you get the Amorphous Pattern. After you have it, we're gonna go kill the Swamp Walker Void Intercept. Fight with him, and after you kill him, interact with the sphere to roll for a 38% chance to get the Spiral Catalyst. And lastly, we have to get Viessa's code. And if you already unlocked Sharon, you should have a bunch of these Amorphous Pattern 30s. You can get these in the Caligo Ossuary Infiltration, and it has a 100% chance to drop. So it should be very quick to get one. Now this pattern gives us only 50% chance to get the code. But if you use a Stabilizer, it'll increase our chances to 20%. And you can find the Stabilizer here on the Caligo Ossuary. Once you have the Amorphous Pattern 30, head back to Albion. And now we're gonna fight the Devourer. After you kill him, interact with the sphere to roll for a 15 to 20% chance of getting the code. At this point, you should have every single part needed to research Viessa. So head to Anai and interact with her to start with research on every blueprint. This process is gonna take 8 hours per part. After you researched all 3 parts, you should now have every single part needed to fully research Viessa. And after 16 more hours of waiting, she should finally be yours for you to use. And that's all for this video. If it was entertaining or useful, please leave a like, it really helps out. And if you want to see more videos for the first Descendant, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching and I'll see you on the next one. Later.